In this software movie, we'll go through a basic review of the spectrum window, with a focus on the quick icons on the left-hand side and the general spectrum behavior. The more advanced functions found in Spectrum Tools will be covered in another software movie. This spectrum was collected using the Spectrum Only function in the Activity panel. The options available to us include customizing the energy range. The default energy range is going to be 2/3 of your beam kV. So when I click on the icon, it brings me to 10 out of my 15 kV. I could also customize a specific energy range by clicking on Manual and telling it to display, say, just between 0 and 4 keV. Now with this custom range, I have a red indicator here on my icon, and anytime I click on that, it's going to bring me to that energy range. Here's where I'll show how you could expand and contract the spectrum or resize it. One of my favorites is to just use the mouse roller ball, and I click on the area, the center area from which I want to expand and contract. By moving my mouse roller ball down, I contract. By moving it up, I expand. And likewise, I could put my cursor in different areas, and it's going to expand and contract about that area. I can also right mouse click and drag and move up and to the right. Or I can left mouse click and drag to define a box or an area for my analysis. And to bring me back to my custom home view, I just click on the icon. The next icon is going to apply element ID. Expert ID is used whenever the spectrum is collected, and it automatically puts the labels up on the peaks, but you can click on that icon to redo it anytime. The scales indicate our quant results. This icon indicates our background. By clicking on it to activate it, we see that the spectrum window becomes this gold color, and we have areas in the background that I could move around to get the best possible background fit. To add a new area, I just simply bring my cursor into anywhere in the background area of the spectrum, and you can see my cursor is this arrow, and I click there, and that defines a new window which I could move and resize or delete any of those by clicking on it to highlight it and then using delete on my keyboard. And you really want to try to get a background area that represents your background, not something in your peak. And when we're done, we just click it off and those new background areas are applied. Next is my periodic chart. By clicking on it, I open up my peak ID list, and I could assign my elements here by adding them, clicking them on or off. And you can see how it updates in the spectrum window below. Whenever I move my cursor on the periodic chart, it moves the line on the spectrum to correspond to where that peak falls. To activate different options, so different line markers, K, L, and M, which will be used for quant and mapping, we would come to our ZAF list. And in the periodic chart, whenever it is black, it means that it's identified. If it has a green asterisk on it, it means that the expert ID found that one. Likewise, you could automatically add peaks by just simply clicking on an area in the spectrum where you might want to add them. You'll have a cursor that comes up with a question mark. Generally, the most likely solution is at the top of the list, and by hovering over your choices, you can see which ones might fit. In this case, I have a good ID already, but let's delete one of these and go through the process. So if I want to delete my aluminum, I simply hover over my aluminum, click on the X, and then it goes away. I come back over here to click on it, get my question mark that I hover over, and then move my mouse up the list, and to add aluminum on, I just click on it. If you decide that you like a specific list and you want to lock it in to use it for the rest of your spectrum collection, multi-point analysis, or even mapping or line scan, you would hover over this icon and then click on Lock Elements. You'll then notice that the icon becomes red, and that means that this element list is going to be fixed throughout the rest of the analyses unless we turn it off by hovering and unlocking it. The peak deconvolution line is shown here with the cyan overlay, and we could toggle that on or off. This icon here is going to allow you to create a custom phase spectrum library where any spectrum that you define, whether by collection or from a map set, can be sent to a phase library and used for phase mapping. This is one of my favorite icons, and this allows you to take the spectrum and send it to project by clicking on Send to Project. And we have our animation, or sending to folder by clicking on Send to Folder. And what that means is that I added my spectra, I sent to the project, and now my spectrum is saved here in the project panel. Note that in the spectrum only area, the spectra that's collected is not automatically saved, so sending to project is crucial to save your spectrum, and it can be recalled from the project panel. If you send to folder using this option, it takes your spectrum exactly as you have it displayed here and sends that to your folder. The really nice thing is anytime you make changes or say zoom in, you can send to folder again. Click on your folder and you'll find your images here. Those spectra are also saved as MSA industry standard file format and CSV 2-column text file with energy and intensity. And so exactly as we sent them out, they're saved. We have a quick print icon and also a save icon. The spectra is automatically saved when you work in point analysis mode. However, if you make changes to the background or to the peak ID list, you might want to remember to click on that disk icon, and that will save those changes into the file in the project panel. If you make changes and haven't saved them, then that icon is no longer grayed out. It becomes purple to remind you to make those to save those changes. One note that we have the active areas or active parameters located on the bottom of the window, but anytime you hover over the bottom of the window, it will give you the saved spectrum parameters, and that's a useful tool. This concludes the basic Spectrum Window software movie.